Things are starting to heat up here in the new Free Republic of Florida. It is getting intense, and it ain't just because summer's coming. Folks in Washington, D.C. and other places, they're starting to pay attention. They're not laughing anymore. I have a question I would like to ask my audience this evening. Do you want to win? Or do you just want to feel good about the idea of winning? Do you want to win? Or do you just want to assess your feelings and feel good about the idea of winning? If you want to win, there's only one path forward. Destroy your enemies. Do not sympathize with your enemies. Your enemy will bide his time, strike back when you least expect. When you pity or hope for reconciliation, it will make you hesitate. There are two groups of people in this country. This pie-in-the-sky notion of United States is long gone. 2020 just revealed this. Florida is fighting to win. Floridian conservatives have pretty much won. The war is almost over with the new congressional maps that were passed today. We have undone decades of manipulation by the left. When you pity or hope for reconciliation, it will make you hesitate. Your enemy may act friendly for the time being, but they will eventually destroy you. An enemy that is left around is like a half-dead viper that you nurse back to health. You only strengthen their fear and hatred of you. Give your enemies nothing to negotiate, no hope, no room to maneuver. Don't humiliate them, yet nurture these resentful vipers who will one day kill you. This is all the truer with a former friend who has become an enemy. The law governing fatal antagonism reads, reconciliation is out of the question. You must exterminate, crush, and deny them the chance to return to haunt you. This is Florida's new congressional map, and it will guarantee us a majority in D.C. for as long as we remain there. They are throwing temper tantrums about this. They're calling it horrible and all of these other terrible things, but the reality is laid out here at 538.com. The extreme bias of Florida's new congressional map. Coming soon to a 2024 Republican presidential primary ad near you. Governor Ron DeSantis stood up to moderate Republicans. Didn't stand up to Democrats. Stood up to moderate Republicans who wanted to appease liberal Democrats, and he won. This is how you win. You don't take into consideration the whims and wants of your enemy. On Thursday, the Florida legislature finally caved and passed one of his best maps ever created. The last major piece in the national redistricting puzzle. And befitting DeSantis' national reputation, it is a dream map for partisan Republicans and conservatives. See, they're going to try to undo this in court, but they're going to fail. They're going to fail. This is going to stand. Definitely for the next election, for sure. And it won't undo anything. Believe me, once the next election comes, in November, 6 months from now, it's over. Florida will pretty much control Washington, D.C. at that point. And for those of you who think this is just an overstatement, PSYOPs, like all war, is ugly business. And make no mistake, if there's any liberals out there listening right now, you declared war back in 2017 when Trump took office. You did everything you could, and you called it war over and over and over again. So this is the result of that. Elections have consequences. Nobody has forgotten about November 2020. We're not allowed to talk about certain details of it that we'd like to, but that is what has given us the fire. People are asking this question, especially progressives and liberals. Where did all this fire come from? From the right. It's real simple. 2020, November, when you had your minions that work in big tech silence any real discussion of the truth, we redirected our energies elsewhere. And this is the result. And it's going to catch fire across this country, you mark my words. Even the single lone elected statewide Democrat has had to retreat in Florida to 4 policy positions that, if she works them properly, could see her give Ron DeSantis a run for his money. But I'm not sure if she's going to have the moxie to do it, because the left will abandon her if she tries this. But if you'd like to get read in on how to win and not just feel good about the idea of winning, join us over at the Florida Maquis Patreon channel for $1. Trust me, it'll be the best dollar you've ever spent learning these tactics, learning these techniques, seeing them applied. We just put up a brand new video today. How you take the logic fallacies and the cognitive biases and then you use them to get inside people's minds and make them not see the enemy right in front of them. So would love to have you there. But on another note, Jennifer Veterans for Truth, Jennifer LaFontaine, about, a little over a year ago, put up a great video called Survival Supplies, Food Robbery, You Must Stop Doing This Now. She has also, behind the scenes, been doing some fantastic research work into some science stories that they're trying to keep buried. One out of Chile and another one out of Indonesia, and I'd like to use the last half of this video to cover those. Well done, Jennifer LaFontaine. In a future video, we're going to cover this. U.S. government report proposed nuking the moon. Newly released documents reveal. Agency funding secret research. And guess what else they were looking into? Experimental technology such as invisibility cloaks, anti-gravity devices, traversable wormholes, stargates, tunnel through the moon. You see, they're doing everything they can. Here it is. Perhaps most intriguing among the documents are several dozen Defense Intelligence Reference Documents, DIRDs, which discuss the viability of various advanced technologies. The collection includes reports on traversable wormholes, stargates, and negative energy, high-frequency gravitational wave communications, warp drive, dark energy, and the manipulation of extra dimensions. Why is it when they do it, it's cool, but when we talk about it here, it's just conspiracy theory? But I digress. One of the allegations that this channel has made about Antarctica is that it was not frozen completely for as long as science has alleged, and that there was a land bridge and there was an exodus out of Antarctica into and through South America, primarily giants. Scientists find evidence for biggest earthquake in human history. The quake was so ruinous, humans fled the area for 1,000 years. For 1,000 years. Where? Chile. Northern Chile. Now let me show you what they're talking about. Here's Peru. Here's Chile. If you see this giant cut in the earth right here, this earthquake they're talking about sent a 20-meter tall tsunami all the way to New Zealand. Now, if it was that big and went that far, said it tossed car-sized boulders hundreds of miles inland, what would a tsunami like that have done down here? See, breaking open this land bridge, tearing this up, is what causes the winds to swirl around Antarctica. Science will even admit this. It isn't just that Antarctica is at the South Pole that makes it cold. What makes Antarctica this frozen wasteland is that the winds swirl all the way around it, preventing any warm air from getting to it. Well, at least that's been the story. Well, now, what if that wasn't the case? There was a land bridge here, and there wasn't that swirling effect. What we know to be Western Antarctica, or the peninsula, could have been quite habitable. Now, along that same line, anthropologists believe ancient human species could still be alive in the forests of Flores Island. This is Indonesia. But wait a minute, how could this be if there was that huge tsunami? It would have wiped them out. In 2003, archaeologists looking for evidence of the migration of modern humans from Asia to Australia stumbled across a small, fairly complete skeleton of an extinct human species on the Indonesian island of Flores, which came to be known as Homo floresiensis. I guess this is how you say this. Known as the Hobbit. Now, this is really going to set the left off, because when you look at the description on the wiki of this, a giant assumption is made. The first specimens of this were discovered on the Indonesian island of Flores on 2 September 2003 by a joint Australian-Indonesian team of archaeologists looking for evidence of the original human migration of modern humans from Asia to Australia. In 2004, a separate species was named and described by Peter Brown et al. With LB1 as the holotype. That's what they named the skeleton. LB1 is a fairly complete skeleton, including a nearly complete skull which belonged to, you ready for this? A 30-year-old female, and has been nicknamed the Little Lady of Flores. How dare they assume its gender? How dare they call it a female? Oh, that's right. You can tell by looking at the bones. See, unlike what the modern incarnation of the left would have you believe, when those folks deliver babies, they don't just guess at the gender. They can tell by the skeleton. They can tell by looking. But one of the things about this particular one that was very odd, an arm bone provisionally assigned to H. floresiensis, 74,000 years old, but the specimens are not fossilized and have been described as having the consistency of wet blotting paper. Yeah, sorry, that they're not 74,000 years old then. They're not 74,000 years old if the bones have the consistency of wet blotting paper. Now, this is right from their wiki. The aquatic human ancestor theory that we all aren't who they say we are, and that they're wildly, wildly wrong about dates, about times, and about who went where when. This is great research by Jennifer Veterans for Truth, because what this shows, they said that they didn't even think an earthquake like this, the one that they're saying was the largest ever, could occur where it was. Until now, the largest earthquake ever recorded was the 1960 Valdivia earthquake, which hit southern Chile with a magnitude between 9.4 and 9.6. The rupture that caused the Valdivia earthquake was enormous, extending as far as 500 miles. But as scientists detail in research published April 6th, the newly discovered ancient megaquake was even bigger, coming from a rupture roughly 620 miles long. It had been thought, translate we were wrong, that there could not be an event of that size in the north of the country simply because you could not get a long enough rupture. But once again, they're wrong. And they admit it. This is the kind of stuff that should be front page news. Science retreating. Science once again saying they're wrong. The huge warm-up in Antarctica. 70 degree swing in temperature. They said wouldn't be possible. It happened. Largest earthquake. They were wrong about. Couldn't happen. And now, this particular species, one second, that they thought died out 74,000 years ago, now they believe could still be alive in Indonesia. Because there are reports of a forest creature. See, it was 74,000 years. The species was initially thought to have survived until relatively recently, around 12,000 years ago. But then they say 50,000, but now there are people saying they've seen them. An ape man living in the forests of Flores. This is the kind of stuff people need to be paying attention to. Because science is starting to admit how wrong they are. How wildly wrong they are. About a great many things. And it all ties into what we were talking about with what's going on in Florida. See, Florida's proven something. When you fight back, you win. Regardless of how smart they think they are, when you can fight back and challenge their orthodoxy, you can win. But you can't have this idea of feeling good about it. You destroy, you keep calm, and destroy your enemies. Once again, well done, Jennifer Veterans for Truth. Very much appreciate it. God bless. Would love to have everyone over at Patreon. We go down the rabbit hole with psychological operations. And with the training there, you'll be able to just look at and listen to what's being said by politicians and be able to go, I know what that is. I know what that is. I know what that tactic is. I know what that technique is. I can label it. I can understand it, and I can defeat it. That's what we do here. So I'll leave it there. God bless. Like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time.